Today's Pro Day featuring Bryce Young absolutely is convinced the Panthers that he needs to go number one just 24 hours after C.J. Stroud did that very same thing yesterday, Joe.
I'm going to go full Colin Cowherd here.
Okay.
And
reminds me a lot of Apple.
I can't do the voice, but Alabama tweeted out a picture of Bryce Young at his Pro Day.
Mm-hmm.
He was in an Alabama jacket.
Okay.
Like a warm-up jacket.
Was it like a big satin jacket, like a starter jacket?
No. Just hey, I'm getting ready, about to do some stretching, about to throw. And he had a book bag on.
Uh-huh.
And, man, I hate myself for the first instinct. But my first impression of looking at that picture was, where's the franchise quarterback? Which one's the is it the 5'10" guy with the backpack?
Yeah.
That kid?
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, and trust me.
His frame is a story.
I am a Heisman voter. I voted for Bryce Young the year that he won the Heisman Trophy.
That's a different thing you're voting for, though.
I understand the accuracy. I understand his skill set. But just looking at the picture, I was like, where's the guy they're going to take number one?
Yeah.
Which one? Where's Waldo? Find the Manning. Like, wait, which quarterback who's the number one franchise quarterback in this picture? I don't see one.
So, yes, let's go backwards. Let's go to yesterday. And then we can talk about Bryce Young today.
C.J. Stroud getting Nicole Tepper to keep eyes on him.
But today, see, Bryce Young was hugged by Nicole Tepper.
Oh, she was there too today.
Of course, the whole road show's along with them. We're gonna talk to Darren Gant, Panthers.com, a little bit later on today because I think he's doing advanced scouting in Kentucky.
Oh,
so or either that or they're done in Alabama and they're driving up to Kentucky right now. We're gonna be talking to Darren at some point here in the next hour while they're on the road to Kentucky for the Will Levis Pro Day. Okay, so I'm only bringing this up not to be a hater, but to illustrate what we do and to make a final point about David Tepper, the owner of the Carolina Panthers. Start with C.J. Stroud yesterday. He's throwing against air. He's dropping dimes. The entire Panthers organization's there. And you got Frank Reich making goo-goo face eyes at him. You got Nicole Tepper, as you mentioned, there embracing him. David Tepper's dapping him up. And then you have like Louis Riddick on ESPN. Graham, here's Louis Riddick on ESPN, who was at the Pro Day yesterday, talking about how Carolina is going to get Stroud as QB1.
David Tepper is going to be along for the entire process, and they are taking this process from beginning to end. And look, he said, look, we didn't come into this thinking that there's a quarterback that we want, and then we're going to kind of see how it plays out. We came into this thinking we're going to let the best man win this entire evaluation. But I can just tell you this too, though. Now I can tell you this too. This young man who's out here throwing right now has to be squarely either 1 or 1A for them. I just don't see how he couldn't be, considering both the mental and physical makeup and the physical skills, which right now, I mean, there was never any doubt.
Okay, so that's Louis Riddick on ESPN talking about Stroud as QB1 for the Panthers. Here's Josh McCown, who's part of the Panthers coaching staff, and he's caught on a hot mic telling Stroud, hey, we'll find a court for you.
Right here, come on.
Okay. Well, no, maybe
I got to do a little
meeting.
meeting.
We'll find out. All right, see you, buddy.
Now I'm going to take his money.
See, there you go. And I'll be taking your money, playing horse on the court. So clearly, they're in on Stroud if they're already talking about finding a court for him in Charlotte, right, Joe? Right? But you see, today, on the NFL Plus broadcast that featured Steve Smith, Panthers legend, he told Bryce Young, hey, man, you should be the next Panthers QB. And, of course, like Bryce Young's like, man, that means a lot coming from you. Which, of course, I mean, Steve Smith's a legend, okay? So what does it mean? Yesterday was Stroud, today it's Young. We're going to do this with Levis, by the way, when they go to Kentucky, and somebody's going to pick up on a moment that makes it seem like they're tipping their hand. That means it's Levis. Y'all, it's March 23rd. We got just over a month until the first pick in the draft is going to be made. We can't do this every day. We just can't.
Isn't that what David Tepper wants?
And that's my larger point. That's my larger point. That is my larger point. Thank you for taking it where the logical conclusion is.
Because what else are we going to talk about the Panthers in a positive light?
David Tepper wants the Panthers to be relevant. I understand the desire. You can be relevant by winning. There's two ways to go about this, okay? There's two ways to go about being relevant. You can do all the periphery stuff to make yourself interesting, which is what the Carolina Panthers have done with this move to get to the number 1 pick in the draft. And as they said, they control the draft now. They are in the pole position, and everybody's going to be wondering, what does it mean? And if you don't think they're doing it for the content, folks, it's 2023. Everything's for the content. And that's why they got this traveling road show, and they're there for every pro day, and they're there for all the television networks to obsess over what they're going to do and then debate whether the Panthers should take this guy or that guy. Or you can go the Tom Dundon way, all right? Tom Dundon, the owner of the Carolina Hurricanes, who has said from the beginning, I'm not really worried about the periphery stuff, and he's made some decisions that have angered the fan base. I don't think I'm stretching here when I've said some of the decisions that he's made has ultimately angered the fan base. He ultimately thinks, if I win, people will show up and they'll find us interesting. And sure enough, they've been winning under Rod Brind'Amour, and they just got to 100 points, and they're probably going to win the Metro Division again, and the building's packed on a pretty consistent basis. I'm not saying David Tepper isn't trying to win. I'm simply saying that Tepper really does love the periphery stuff. And if you don't think for a second that David Tepper's the one that's going to make the decision on who the QB is going to be, then you're kidding yourself. Why else is he there? Frank Reich and Scott Fitterer might have their opinions, but ultimately it's going to be David Tepper's call in the same way that it's Jerry Jones's call half the time, or Dan Snyder's call when he's ruining the Washington Commanders. I wouldn't be shocked if they make the pick and we're going to get some sort of sob story about how David and Nicole really just had a conversation over coffee one day, and David was just convinced in this conversation that we're going to have to go with XQB. I can already see the future, Joe. Can already see the future when it comes to David Tepper. Tell me I'm wrong.
I can't.
He likes the attention, man. Likes the attention. And that's fine. A lot of owners like the attention. You can have the attention, just as I hope you're making the right decisions, man. I think it's C.J. Stroud. Straight up, I think it's C.J. Stroud. If they don't go in that direction, good luck. Because as you said, if it's Bryce Young, that's a little bit of a gamble, man. That frame's going to be a little bit of an issue.
Especially when you look at Kyler Murray and look at Tua Tagovailoa, two other smaller quarterbacks who were taken at the top of the draft recently, and they've had injury issues, straight up.